Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plate Stack Chat. I know I had a week off, so just a refresher for everyone. My name is Jason, or Jason Sif Media, here on YouTube. And on this show, I like to bring along some great guests for a fun chat. I know I said I had a week off, but actually that was just from Plate Stack Chat. I did put out 2 videos on YouTube, so give them a watch if you haven't already. And I was also on the Glint and Things podcast last week talking about the CrossFit Games. But that is enough about me. Let's meet our fantastic guests. So this is a bit of a Grid League special, and hopefully the first of many. I'll be mixing them up with the usual episodes and the upcoming affiliate series as well. So this week, my guests are both from the Fort Lauderdale Lions. First up, we have the coach of the Lions herself, but so much more than just a coach, CrossFitter, and dog mum. She is also a physical therapist and the owner of the Box Doc. So that means after she pushes her team to breaking point, well, she is the perfect person to put them back together again. Please welcome the wonderful Jaime Gold.
Hey, Jason, what's going on?
I'm very well, thank you, Jaime. And that is all correct, right?
That is all correct.
Wonderful, good. And what somebody said, sweet hit came for the intros. So this is the only bit I put any effort into, just so you know. And then after the intros, it all falls apart. Speaking of intros, let us bring out our second guest. So joining Jaime and myself, we have an incredible athlete, a CrossFit Level 2 coach, 4-time regional athlete. He went to the games on a team in 2016 and 2017, but now you can watch him doing some pretty crazy things on the gymnastic rings during a grid match. And when he isn't throwing a barbell or his body around, he's out there helping save lives as a firefighter paramedic. So who knows when this guy finds time to sleep? It is the exceptional Eric Cardona.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Welcome, both of you. So
Thanks for having us.
That's good. Jake Chapman asked, "What's going on?" Look, we were a little bit late, but that was my fault. Oh, and we've got the dog with us as well.
Yeah, not much I can do about those guys.
That's fine. That's why we mentioned Dog Mum in the intro, just so people they'd be aware and they would be accepting. I like to feel. How are you recovering from the weekend?
I thought I was feeling good yesterday, and then I went into the gym, and my lats had other plans, super tight. But today, I'm feeling better. I'm excited to go work out and start preparing for the next couple matches. So yeah. I'll probably go hit a session after this is over.
Okay, that's a good. So that's his excuse, guys. When he needs to.
My voice is still a little hoarse from yelling.
Oh, see, I've got a lot of questions about you being a coach for Grid, and a lot of it I was thinking about it is like watching it and watching the coaches there, and as you say, like yelling and directing, not physically touching anyone because we know you're not allowed to push them in the right direction. I've heard that rule, but who was it? Emma McQuaid was on. We were talking about at the games and like what your coach can actually do for you at the games, and it's sort of carry your bag is kind of the most really they can help you with at that point. But obviously in Grid, you guys are screaming and shouting nonstop and sort of waving your arms around trying to direct people, and it looks like organized chaos, but I don't know, is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, and we definitely know, we all know where we're supposed to be, but things don't always go as planned, and so sometimes we have to make changes on the fly. So that's where the yelling comes in. It would be the best if you had a coach kind of on the side, and then you also had a coach kind of back at the start line to help figure some things out. But I'm fortunate to have people like Eric and some other really strong veterans on our squad. So they pick up where we don't have, and sometimes it is chaos, and sometimes it's organized chaos.
Are you allowed? Would you be allowed to have another coach there, or is that against the rules?
No, you can.
Oh, you can. Okay. You can. So applications are open if people want.
They are always.
More help is always welcome.
Yeah, but it looks quite crowded there as well at the sort of at the end of the grid. I also, obviously I've seen all like the elements in person at a gym, right? So I know how big a box is, and I've seen like a rig and a barbell and all that, but I still sort of struggle to kind of comprehend exactly the size of the grid layout. And so like, especially when you're having to run from like the one end to the other end, I'm kind of thinking, I kind of think I have a rough idea of sort of how big that is in my mind, how far they're running, but then when it gets crowded, it just looks like there's very little space for things to go on. So anyway,
I think it looks a lot smaller when you watch it, but it's actually, they're 20 by 20 quadrants.
Oh, right. Oh,
so they're pretty big. There's more room than you think, but it definitely, when you get all the people there, it feels a lot smaller.
Yeah,
and all the equipment, having 3 barbells or boxes, it's a lot of room until there's a lot more things on the grid, and then you're moving around. People try not to go out of bounds because then reps don't count, and it's like, all right, I gotta make a good call in a half a second to, am I going right, left, or who am I going around? There's a lot going on for sure.
Because, and this was pretty noticeable last weekend, no reps get thrown out quite a lot, right? Because I think when I first sort of stumbled across grid, that was one of the things I would hear. Because sometimes I find, now you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I find that people within CrossFit at times talk about grid the same way people outside of CrossFit talk about CrossFit.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. Absolutely.
And like with those people, it's like, well, actually, if you went to your local affiliate and you had a look around, you'd see it's not what you think. And I think it's the same with grid. They're like, oh, there's no movement standards. And you're like, actually, they are throwing out no reps. It's just because you guys
they're
don't
different
stop.
Doesn't mean it's not a movement.
Yeah. But yeah, those what is it, like the pistol thrusters that you were doing on
so we have some odd standards too.
Yeah.
And the reason for some of the standards we do have is to make the judging actually more consistent. So one of the rules, and one of the things that Eric actually got kind of caught up in, didn't realize it was happening, was that you're free. So you're going to have one hand holding the dumbbell. Your other hand can touch the dumbbell, or it can be free, but it has to be below your shoulder. So if you go down and you're leaning this way and your hand comes above your shoulder, it's a no rep. And it's kind of tricky because, you're leaning. Is it really above? Is it below? So it's for consistency's sake to keep your hands below the shoulder. And it doesn't matter if you touch it or not. You can't elevate your hand. Right.
When I originally read the rule, I thought it was you can't throw the hand up, like supporting and assisting that dumbbell. Right. And I clearly didn't read that well enough, because it says, I reread it afterwards, and it says at no point can the hand go above. So I was like holding my arm down, continuing to go and just keeping it away. And then at one point it got up. I'm like, what the hell am I getting no reps for? And she told me after, I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. And because it's so fast as well that you don't have time to sort of ask. Well, will they tell you if you ask, like, hey, what,
They'll try to, yeah.
They'll try.
I mean, you're going fast. They're going fast. They're trying to count, give good reps, and call their faults. And so trying to get those words in, just like in a CrossFit competition. Like, if you're not locking out, they'll be like, lock out, straighten your arms, whatever the case is. But
I need to go back and watch.
On the judge.
I have to go back and watch it now.
Typically, the head ref will say, they'll come over if something like that's happening, and they'll say like, fault hand, fault shoulder, fault this. They'll try. But again, like Eric was saying, sometimes you're going so fast that, number one, he's trying to listen if I'm saying something. He's trying to listen if they're saying something. He's trying to figure out what number he's on. If he got 2 faults, like how many does he have left? Is the judge's hand up? Is it not? And when you're only doing 12, it's like, it gets really challenging and probably really noisy in your own head when there's all of that going on.
Plus all the music and the people and all the other teams screaming and yelling. That's definitely gets chaotic.
Yeah.
You just gotta be able to be focused.
I was watching Griffin was getting like no rep after no rep on the pistols, and the judge kept like hitting his elbow. So I'm looking at his elbow and I'm like, is it not that he's not locking out? He looks like he's locking out to me, but it might not have been his elbow. He might have just been hitting his arm, and it might have been exactly the same thing that you. Now I need to go back and watch, because I wasn't watching.
I have to go watch.
because I was watching for like the points of the kind of movement and standards that I'm used to seeing in competitions, and I was like, I mean, he's going below parallel, he's up, he's fully extended, he's completely locked out with his, what's, and then the chat's blowing up and people are like, oh, what's going on with these new reps? Oh, this is like, I don't know. There was one person, I have to go back and find out who it was, but they were not happy with the charge.
Yeah.
Every time in the comments, just really laying into this charge. I was like, oh, poor guy. I'm assuming are the judges volunteers, or are they paid judges or volunteer?
I think they get paid, but
I think the head judges get paid. I don't know if they all get paid. Okay, I'm not sure. They all get paid,
but it's not like,
it's not the big bucks.
Everyone's running to sign up to be a judge.
It definitely started volunteer, and a lot of them are from the volunteer time. So it's nice that they're consistent. Like, it's the same people for the most part.
Yeah.
Do they have are there like similar sort of standards to judges for CrossFit competitions? So usually they'll be like, you should have to have done your judges course or an L1 course. Is there like a specific grid judging course that they'll have done, or is it just
they're all trained? Like, they train them. And there's not that many of them. So like, and they're always, I would say, I don't know the numbers, but we do have the same judges every time. They do switch sides. So you're not getting judged by the same judge on the same movement. So if you were getting a bunch of faults from maybe one judge, the next race was switch. So you wouldn't get that judge again. But they are trained and they do take, I will say, one of the cool things about being I'm also the team owner, one of the team owners. And we talk a lot about that kind of stuff, and they're very open to listening to us, and like if we have an idea and we want to say, hey, can the judges do this, or would this be easier? And we get to vote on, like, we actually, Briley, one of the other players, not on my team, girl Briley on the Palms team, we were talking about the pistol standard, and I was like, man, maybe we should change it. And she goes, actually, we did change it, and we all voted about keeping the hand here to make it easier for the referees to give us the fault or not, because it's too hard for them to say, oh, well, were they going down? Were they coming up?
Right.
And so we do vote on that kind of stuff to make it more consistent, and to make it better. But sometimes, if you guys ever watch it, it's going so fast. And some reps are like, they're really hard to see until they play it back. And then you watch it and you're like, okay, I can see it now. But sometimes live, you don't see it.
Yeah. So it's nice. And so as like an owner of a team, you're also sort of, you really have ownership to a degree of the sport itself. If you're involved in making a lot of the decisions, which is, I guess as it's a kind of a newer sport, and it's constantly, this year it's changed quite dramatically from last year, because removing Florida was a good move. I definitely think that was a good move, because it's very hard for me to tell people, I'm watching Florida Grid League. Like, what are you doing? I was like, it's but so United is better, and obviously you've had some new movements and things brought in, but the point is, as it's sort of constantly emerging and changing, and they're bringing new things in, being in a position to actually vote on what's happening, be a part of that change, must be great, because you look at other sports that are so well established that if someone comes in and buys a team and now they own a team, they're very much subservient to the rules and laws already in place, so they don't get much of a say in what's how that sport's going to operate. But you're kind of on the ground floor, I guess.
Yeah. Grid's been around 10 years now total.
It's been that long, right?
Yeah, Eric and I both played in the professional league.
I was in 2016 and 17. You're in 15. Was it around 14?
All 3 years.
Yeah.
The NPGL, the combine, was it it wasn't NPGL. It was NPFL. It wasn't even called Grid.
Yeah, National Pro Fitness League.
Fitness League. Yeah. So that was 2014.
But still, like, you'll listen to like a podcast where they'll talk about the history of some sports, and you'll be like, I cannot believe these sports were around, like hundreds of years of history of these sports. So then it's one of those weird things where it's like, it's a lot. Like, you'll be like, oh, it's a lot. And then, like football over here or soccer for you guys will come along and be like, it's not really that long. Anyway, okay. I suppose all things are relative, but
for sure.
No, great. So, I had a few questions for you on this. Well, first of all, how did you get started in it then? So you were very much on the ground floor then, if you started kind of back in the pro league as it was.
Yeah. I mean, I was a CrossFit athlete. I competed at the games in 11 and 12 as an individual and was just really competitive, wanted to try it. They actually like sent out some invitations to like, hey, we're going to try this. Come do the combine. And I went to Atlanta and I did a combine and it was really cool. Like just these short, quick tests. And then after that, we got selected from there to go to Las Vegas to do like an official like combine or like the next level combine. And then from there, we performed. Essentially, they grouped us up in teams and we performed and, competed, played grid. And then later that year, or like in the spring, I think of 2015 is when we announced everything and we got drafted. Like we were all in, actually it happened in Fort Lauderdale at the college, my PT school. Yeah. And we were sitting there and we literally like, there was a guy on a stand. I forget. I don't know if it was Tony at the time.
It was Tony.
Yeah. And they literally came up like the NFL draft and said, with the 5th pick of the NPFL, we select, I don't remember where I got picked. It was pretty far down, but, I got.
This is your story. You can I was the second pick.
No. I got picked to play for the Boston Iron, and it was really funny because, at the time I thought I was going to go play for the DC Brawlers. Like I was pretty set talking to Justin Kotler, and that's where I was going to go. And then Josh got up there and called my name, and I was like, "Oh crap! Okay, I'm playing for Boston." There's no like, oh, well, let's bargain. No, like that's who I played for. And I played for them for 3 seasons. And Eric, did you come in the second year?
I did. So when did you first hear about like the even thought of the NPFL? Like you said, you got an email. Was it from that email or like, how did you come across it?
Yeah, it was just like attention all athletes. Like
who sent you that email?
I don't know.
So I remember Fernando, the owner of the gym I did CrossFit at, and that's where I started CrossFit and started coaching. He started talking about somebody leaving CrossFit HQ and that was going to start this new sport. And that person was Tony Budding. And so I added him as a friend on Facebook, and I was staying with all these updates about this whole new sport. And that's supposed to be very similar to CrossFit, but the goal was being more viewer friendly because nobody wants to sit and watch the entirety of Murph. It's not exciting. The last few minutes or maybe a few seconds that are. And it was going to be more like the NFL or the NBA where you have these teams around the country and they play each other and go to finals and stuff like that. And then another part was you're highlighting more specialized athletes. That would be like myself, where I'm obviously better at gymnastics movements. Yes, I competed in CrossFit and I love CrossFit and got strong, did what I needed to do to compete at regionals and the games, but 5'6" at 155 at the time, I'm not a very competitive individual CrossFit athlete. So this was giving more people like myself a chance to go out, get known, and try to promote ourselves and give us a platform to get sponsors and stuff like that. And so I was really interested in it. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the combine that first year. I was out of town for something. And that was I couldn't make any of them because I think there were a couple. And my buddy actually went to Atlanta, my best friend. His dad's the one that owns our gym. And he participated. And then I was like, oh, I'm not going to miss it. And I watched their season. I watched her get picked up. And they did a little exhibition match at Nova. I watched in person. I remember like Matt Frazier was there and all these other like indie high-level games athletes. I was like, wow, this is going to be awesome. And they even had a match down at They played and went and was a spectator at that. And I was like, I cannot pass this up. So the next year I did a combine, and then I got drafted by the San Francisco Fire.
San Francisco Fire, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I've got some reflections on the things you both just said to me. One, the fact that Justin Kotler was so involved is a thing that I know, that I've always known, and I always forget until it gets brought up.
Justin Kotler is awesome.
He's awesome.
And
his energy was just absolutely fire and contagious.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to play for him because you're like that guy's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like that. He's he's the one screaming in the stands now, right? And the thing is that I've had a lot of interactions with Justin, and I mean, he's come on the show a couple of times. I mean, I've spoken to him a lot, but it's always been about CrossFit and CrossFit athletes and who he's working with now. And then it always comes up, and I just always forget. And I'm like, he's so great, of course. A few other things. I like the fact that Jaime was very nonchalant about all of this. They were scouting her. And Eric was sort of just sniffing around like as much as he could, and who's gonna. So that's interesting. But it worked out for both of you, which is great. There were a few things in the comments as well. Apart from Jake telling us that Eric looks like his father-in-law, which is
saw that.
Right.
Then I need to get stronger, which I've been working on.
Yeah, I mean you're strong as well. You do a lot of the barbell stuff. I've seen that.
I mean, CrossFit opened up a lot of avenues for me. I got into competitive weightlifting. I competed at nationals in the 69 kilo division in like 2014 or so. Like being able to compete at a high level with that was really cool. And I mean, I don't have a weightlifting background. So when I first started CrossFit, I was really weak, and I was like, this is what I need to work on. And so I just started eating and lifting as much as I could and trying to find proper programs, right? Because in the beginning of CrossFit, we didn't have hard work pays off or mayhem or all this stuff. Like, I'm just like asking people, hey, what's a good squat program I can do? Or what's a good like powerlifting program I can do? And then I'm learning about weightlifting a few months later and how to snatch and clean and jerk, because I didn't know what the hell that was.
Yeah. But I mean, so you see Augustus, he did it. It just took time. But instead of just twiddling his thumbs, waiting to get stronger, he went and used the skill set he has somewhere else in the meantime. So it's all paid off. So don't worry. Relax.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the like watching kind of Murph versus watching Grid, things like that. And I mean, I've got to say, obviously going into this weekend, I didn't really watch much of the games for kind of obvious reasons. It was a bit of a weird one. I caught up. I've probably seen most of the individual stuff now, but I'll be honest, I watched it on 2x speed on YouTube because I was like, I need to see it to make sure I've seen it, but I just wasn't super feeling it. I had like a really busy Saturday, loads of stuff going on. We were going down to visit my family, but I could just put Grid on, and it's just I just wait for the episodes. I do too many of these things. And hello, Sarah. I just had like YouTube on, would wait for the different matches to come on, and there's kind of all the bit in between the races.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to Cassie talk, and it's great, and getting good information there. I was driving at one point, and I just had it on so I could hear what they were saying. And then, I'm going to change my handle. That's fine. And then you just kind of can tune in for like a couple of minutes for the actual race, watch it, and then just have it on in the background, go on with your day. Whereas I have always found, especially with the time difference, like if I'm trying to follow a CrossFit event, it's I'm apologizing to my family because I'm like, look, I'm so sorry guys, but I am occupied at the moment for this, so hope you don't mind. Whereas I think the last match finished, it's like midnight maybe for me on Saturday, so I was able to watch it all. I was like, so I watched your match. You won. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was close. Ooh, very close. Very close at the end. So you've only played 2 matches this season, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Won them both?
Yes.
Yep.
That's a good sign. That's a good start. That's a pretty good start. Who is your main like competition, do you think? Well, or who's the rival? Which is like the one that we need to tune in to see, because that's the one.
Well, this year's a little different. Because we changed from Florida to United, we sort of got rid of conferences for the sake of trying to kind of just broaden the views. And so we got seeded from last year. And so our strength of schedule, I guess, technically based on last year is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest. And because we were at the championships last year, so us and the Orlando Aces both have pretty tough schedules. Versus if you had a lower finish last year, you're playing all the other teams with the lower finishes. So I would say normally our main rival would be the Palms because they're in our conference, and in the last couple seasons, it's been us versus them in the conference championships. But I would say now, because we're all open, we lost to the Aces last year at championships, and I think they would technically be what our team is like. We got to beat them.
Okay.
But we have a really tough, our next 2 matches are against the Aces and the Sharks. The Sharks are also 2-0. They're the only other team. Us and the Sharks are the only teams that are 2-0. So we play them first.
Against the Aces.
And they beat the Aces. So it'll be a tough one. But
so you're playing the Aces first and then the Sharks?
No, we played the Aces.
Sharks then the
we
Aces.
played the Aces second. Yeah.
So one of them is not going to be 2-0 at the end of that.
Correct.
That's okay. Well, I think on Monday I've got some of the Sharks on, so I'll start sowing some seeds. Jesse's coming on, and maybe Chelsea.
Jesse's a new Shark, right?
Yes.
She played for the Breakers last year.
Yes.
She's so strong.
Yeah.
She's very strong.
Yeah.
What's cool for us to, is like, I think actually maybe the hardest part for our team this year is we're not playing the people we're used to playing. So in terms of strategy and things like that, like we're all going back and watching film and trying to figure out like, okay, like where are their strong people? Who are their utility players? Who do we need to, who are they going to pick for these ringers? I called our last one. Like I knew what they were going to pick, and that's exactly what they picked. So it'll be different strategy for us because we're playing kind of a different team. I don't think we played them. Did we play them last year?
The Sharks?
Did we play? I think we might have actually. Who'd we play in Orlando?
I think we played the Aces last year first in Orlando with this format actually that we're going to be playing.
Or we lost? No, we lost.
No, I think we lost that one.
We did.
That's why you can't remember it. You just blocked that.
Yeah,
we try to block them out.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay, Augustus has chimed in with another comment. So, what is the biggest selling point for someone like me who has never watched Grid?
Do you do CrossFit?
He does do CrossFit.
Okay. If you like watching fast-paced CrossFit, tune in. It's quick and it's different. You're going to see some movements that are different. And again, the standards are different. We continually get ripped apart on social media for what is that? Why are they doing this? Like, it's a competition. We're doing it to win. That's all I comment really. But it's fun to watch different movements, similar movements, people going fast, and who's going to be the most efficient and the cleanest, because it's easy to go fast, but it's hard to go fast and not get no reps.
And I think too, what's really fun about Grid is most of the time these races are really close. We had ours come down to a photo finish.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I see it. And what they changed this year, which was awesome, is now you have the dual screen. So you're watching both teams and you can see where they are. So he doesn't.
That's why you get to watch it and not do it.
Okay, well, hold on though. It's short and sprinty, but caveat that with it can be like short sprinty and really heavy, for example, because it could be like it's a the flip sled like race kind of thing.
Yeah.
So short and sprinty to a degree, but also that's a strength element that's just being, or like sometimes it's a yoke like carry kind of race or something like that. Sometimes what was it this week? There was it was 5 snatches, right? One of the ringers point.
Yeah.
So it was just run down to the bar, so sprint to the bar, 5 snatches, and then across the finish line. So
the 5 snatches were 225 for the men, 150 for the women. And what's cool is you could have a guy versus a girl.
Yeah.
Which happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric's got thoughts on this. No, that's right.
I don't have a problem with that. I just think some of the comparisons are off a little bit. Like it takes time to work on those and figure out what's really going to be equal in terms of weight or movements, like taking away a rep or changing the distance, whatever the case is. But it just takes time to figure that out.
So now Augustus is looking, how did you do on that?
Yeah.
So Eric didn't do the snatches because that was
I'm a bodyweight
like
specialist.
a one-on-one race. So yeah, they put their quickest and smoothest snatches on there.
You pick your best person.
So how many people do you have on a team?
Technically, there should be about 16, 8 men and 8 women.
Does think it needs to be harder for them.
Again, it varies on the movement and the elements. I don't lift the barbell, so I have no say in who's to lift what weights. But
so wait, I'll give a good comparison for Augustus because he likes some of this drama. So like for us, we picked the other team picked 3 burpee backflips for time. And we had a guy versus a girl. Well, the girl's smaller.
Yeah.
And probably a little bit faster in the sense of it's a shorter revolution for her. So it's more advantageous for her than it is for him. Sometimes depending on the movement itself, it is something that in comparison's sake is either too heavy for the guy in comparison to the girl. Like in the mirror, we did hang clean and jerk. For the girls, it was 120, but for the guys, it was 185. I think most of our girls could have handled 125 or even 130, but it was definitely a heavier barbell for the guys. So, there's some things where it's more beneficial for the girls. Some things it's more beneficial for the guys. But what's really cool is that you see some of these girls come out and they whoop the guys on something that they probably technically shouldn't, but are just, that's their specialty, right? Like they're just that
that's awesome. I love watching
that movement. And then they just win because they're just better. And that's what it's really about. Like when we pick all these utility or body weight or strength movements, we get to pick the person that is the best on your team at that, if you have somebody. And sometimes you don't, which is what makes the sport also super fun, because sometimes, like, I'll give a good example. In the first match, our ringer point, one of them was a 6-pound med ball handstand walk for the girls. And I think it was a 10-pound med ball handstand walk for the guys, right?
I think so, something like that. I think.
But I know that it's very rare that someone's ever going to beat Eric on a handstand walk. Like, he's just notoriously in the league one of the fastest guys on his hands. So of course I'm going to pick that. I'm going to guarantee myself points, right? Even though there are girls who could probably walk really fast, but you add the 6 pounds versus the 10 pounds, he can still outwalk them. So it's really, what's cool about it, it's so specialized.
We have to just shout out a moment for Eric's sled drag. And then when he got to the end, like grabbing the rope with one hand, staying in the handstand in one hand and just yanking the sled
trying
over
not
the line.
To kick me in the face.
Which was they hold it between their legs.
In their legs.
The same way like when they're doing a ring muscle up with the med ball as well. They've got to put that on their legs. I do think with depending on for Augustus, there's different types of races. How many races are there in a match?
11.
So there's 11 races. So there's going to be different styles. Some are one-on-one. Some are like a team of 3 taking a barbell down. So those 3 people have to do the movement and they can kind of swap in and out. Sometimes it's like there will be elements that have almost a fixed number on them. So it's like you have to get through like 20 burpee box jumps. And you've got 3 boxes, and all 3 of those boxes need to, can have 3 athletes, but kind of they can tag in and out different people, or when they finish the first 2, the others can help them get the last one. So there's a lot of kind of tagging in, tagging out, using people to their, those that are better at certain things. Sometimes it's great to see somebody who's like their strength specialist is waiting at the barbell, and then they realize the person that should have finished the ring muscle ups left one, and they have to jump up and also do a ring muscle up and then go to the barbell. And then that's also where, I was watching it thinking, man, if you've got a team of like really strong women, you've got quite an advantage in some of them, because like the men had to do clusters? No, was it?
Yeah, we had to do clusters.
Like, they had to do clusters, and the women just had to do cleans.
Yep.
And it's like, obviously the time it takes to do a clean, it was the same barbell, so it was a heavier clean, respectively, for the women, and then a lighter cluster, but if that makes any sense. But obviously if a woman can handle that barbell easily enough, she can knock out 2 or 3 cleans in the time you're doing 1 cluster. So it's sort of it's a bit of strategy there.
Yeah, a lot, especially depending on the type of athletes you have. Like if you have those heavy hitter strength specialists like Chelsea and like Taylor Stallings, it's easy to have them on the bar at the end and just they can cycle that thing. And if not, then you'll have like a filler that does like 1 rep or 2 while another guy is swapping out and stuff like that. And Augustus, just if you're not aware, the types of athletes that are on the grid, we have like 3 categorized types. So you have your strength specialist, obviously they're going to be moving the barbell, the body weight specialist like myself, who's going to be more with the gymnastics, the rings, the pull-ups, all that stuff, pistols. And then you have your utility player, which is in between. So they're more of like a CrossFit generalist where they're good at all of this stuff and they can handle some barbell, they can handle the gymnastics and help where we need fill spots.
Yeah. And I realized in preparation for this that I've had 4 Grid League athletes on the show before anyway, because I've had Paola, your teammate, the other absolute ninja on the ring. Briley actually came on like way before it was live. I think it was like episode 2. And I think who else? Jess Kurtzman, I want to say is Kresman, that's it. It's a gym, not a runway. I know everyone by their Instagram handle. Problem. So
right. People only call me by that most of the time.
Who was the other person I had? I said 4, didn't I? There was definitely someone else. Oh, Kaylee Walsh. That was on the Breakers as well, because she is the person that first introduced me to Grid League. So
that's what I was going to ask you too. How did you find out about it?
Yeah, I don't know how she found my stuff, but somehow through her, I got sort of sent over to some grid stuff, and then I was like, oh, this is because again, in the same way I'd heard about CrossFit before I did CrossFit, I'd heard about whispers of this crazy thing where they don't care about movement standards and they're just going to kill themselves and all of that. I'd heard all of that, but I'm very much I'll go and have a look myself. I mean, that's my whole brand with everything I do is like, here's the facts, you go and form your own opinion. So
yeah,
same
absolutely.
with grid. I'm like, let me go and have a look. And I think the biggest difference is like, so I didn't watch any sports really. I'm like 37 now. So I growing up, I didn't really care about. My brother watched every sport, like whichever season it was in. Like it's tennis now, great. He's watching tennis. Then he's watching football. Then he's watching rugby. Like whatever it is. Me did not really care. And it wasn't until I started doing CrossFit that I was like watching the games and events and stuff. I'm being really kind of I'm all in on this, and now, and I'm very all in on this. But I don't, as much as I like enjoy watching CrossFit, I don't think watching CrossFit is particularly fun. Like I don't think the games are fun. They're like incredible to watch, interesting, inspiring, aspirational, all of those kind of things. But I wouldn't really classify them as fun. But I think grid is fun. Like I watch it in a very different way, and I think it's the blasphemy. Yeah. You should get my boy Taylor to come on, Jason. He just got a Grid League team, Orlando. He's certified. Do you know Taylor?
Sturgis, I think. I would assume that's who he's talking about.
Is that the other Taylor? Let us know.
The other Taylor is a girl.
Yeah.
She played in the pro leagues too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a monster.
Yeah. Sturgis. There we go.
Yeah,
okay. All right. Add him to the list. I'll be honest with you guys, I've got a pretty big list growing at the moment. So I've got a lot of people that have said yes.
That's cool.
And I'm hoping once they come on, I'm going to try and like do it by teams, like 2 from each team, 2 from each, and then sort of cycle back around. So I enjoy it. And it actually circles back to like the whole purpose of this show initially as well, even with the CrossFit people, was like, we see you at the games, we see you on Instagram. We don't really know you. I don't know what you like. I don't know your hobbies, your interests, and we've had, really interesting chats about quite random topics because that's just something they're interested in. And as much as I love watching Grid League, the thing that throws me a lot is, unless it's like Eric and I know him, so I'm like, oh, that's Eric. Great. Can see him. Quite often people come out and I'm like, I don't know who half these people are. And it's really hard because you've got big teams. And some people are in play a lot and some people are just on now and again. So I was like, I know how I'm going to solve this problem. I'm just going to speak to everyone and then I'll know them all. And so that's sort of a little goal that I've got on the side over there.
That's awesome.
I don't think you'll have trouble getting anybody on. We all really love, like a lot of us who've been playing or around it for a long time. Like we really like it. It's a lot of fun, as frustrating as it can be sometimes. Like we all keep coming back. Like it's just a good time.
And the other thing about it, like being fun, is the score. I love the scoring system because it keeps it close. Because it's like, like back in the Matt Fraser era when it was like, okay, the games is locked up before the final day. You're like, great, let's watch the race for second and third place. That's fun. Like it's, and again, incredible what he can do. And it's now this, it's flipped, and now it's the same with the women's side where it's like, okay, we're gonna watch Tia win and see by how much, which is again great, incredible, amazing, but it's not as fun. Whereas because you've got the different races, it's like, so again, for those that don't know, if you win a race, you get 2 points. If you finish within 20% of the people that beat you, you get 1 point. And if you just absolutely die,
that's for the ringer.
Okay,
that's only for the ringer.
But for the
20%. The other one is if you finish within there's a time.
There's a time cap, right? Yeah.
If you finish within the time cap, you'll get your point. But the ringer has to be within 20%.
So I think I'd like to bring it that you have to be close. So
that I like that too,
because that means like if you know,
it'd be good and bad.
Oh yeah.
Well, you could like sell yourself on a race, being like, we know. We like, this is our wheelhouse. We could
and that's like the bonus
smash
flag.
This, and then it is like, and then you add the bonus flag on top.
Yeah, we have a bonus flag for that.
But it's nice that it means even if someone has a disaster, like in the game, sometimes someone has a disastrous workout, and it's like, okay, maybe they'll have enough time to claw it back, maybe they won't, and even if they can, like it's going to be hard for them to. Whereas this, it's like the worst case scenario, they're ahead by 2 points. You can make that up. Like, well, I guess if they've thrown the bonus flag, worst case is they're ahead by 3 points. But 3 points, it always feels like achievable, right? You can get that. And another really, it can be a vicious thing to watch as well, because the whole running it back.
Oh God!
So again, people saying like, oh, bad calls. They don't. If there's like, I mean, I don't know. So this is my observation. You can again correct me on what I've understood wrong, but it's sort of like if they feel that there was a bad call made that will have affected the finish. So if it's like, oh, they let them get away with a no rep, but it's like, yeah, but they beat you by 15 reps. Like that one no rep wasn't going to change anything for you. But if it's close and you can sort of identify a bad call, the way they solve it is by making you repeat a portion of the workout. So I think, Eric, did you have the one with the legless rope climb last year?
No, Paula had to redo legless rope climbs. I don't know if it was last year or the year before.
Yeah, I just remember one where it was like the last movements were, it was like 2 things, and then the final movement was like L-sit rope climbs or something like that.
Oh, and then, maybe we did have to do one like that.
I don't think we had to redo
There's so many.
And then someone had to redo it, and I was just like, oh, this was.
No, I think we did have to redo one rope climb with Laura, and I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong.
It might have been another team, but I just remember.
I don't think we've ever had to redo rope climb workout.
I just remember seeing that and being like, oh, that.
But the one we did this weekend and we had to redo, the girls had to redo. We've been in a scenario 2 seasons ago where the guys had to redo it twice.
Yeah, so we did it 3 total times. Fucking 16 burpees and the 8 shoulder to overhead. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My triceps were so wrecked after that.
Yeah. And there's another fun race, which is the Echo, where you do it and then you have 45 seconds rest and you redo the whole thing. So that's like, so I just think it is, I don't know, it just scratches an itch for me. I'm just like, this
There's
is just
so much more strategy, and you're always on your toes because you're like, wait, are they going to be able to do that again? Or like, are they going to switch up their players? Or, oh my God, like they got demolished. Or what are they going to do now? You know, and that's for us too. Like, well, for me as a coach, one of the reasons I hate when we get so close is because sometimes you want to like feel comfortable, right? Because there's so much more coming up, like especially in the beginning. If in the echoes, like if we win both the echoes, I'm usually like, okay, we're all right. But when it's really close up front on the front half of the race, that's what makes that pressure on the back half with your Jack and Jill and your triads, which are very CrossFit heavy. And when you kill somebody in those triads and you ask them to do it again, and that's the 9th, 10th race of the match, they're already dead. Like, and so sometimes it's especially on a workout like that, if we were already in a place where from a numbers perspective, we had clinched it, you know, you can kind of back down a little bit and not murder yourself. But at the same time, your rankings will be on point differentials. So it'll be on wins, losses, and then point differential. So like how bad did you beat a team by, or how bad did you lose by? So now, because we added that, you can't just say like, hey, it's okay, we got it, don't worry about it. Like, you just finish the race.
Which I think it addresses some of the issues that people have with CrossFit in general, right? It's like, oh, if you know, it doesn't matter if you beat them by a minute or 2 minutes. It's like, oh, you won, you know, that's all that matters, kind of thing. And people are like, well, you know, there was talk of Z scoring, all different things of like, how can we push to make athletes kind of chase it down even when they don't necessarily have to, kind of thing. And there you go. That's a great example. It's like, well, we're winning. Yeah, we could phone in a couple of workouts and just, you know, like take an easy race and let them win that one. We'll still win overall. But you're constantly also thinking, well, hold on, actually, we've got, you know, we need to get some more points because the aces are doing really well again. So so I think that's right. And I mean, you know, and I don't want to really open this can of worms, but
do it
now. Like, there's the whole, you know, should CrossFit the sport and CrossFit the methodology be separated more than it already is? And you know, and people are becoming obviously very vocal on that after what's happened. And you know, and I think, well, I do like the idea in general. And I was speaking to someone from the International Fitness Racing, and now here they've got it as, I think it's BF3 now in England. They've just relaunched that. And I do like that you've got
thing, right?
Gretchen, yeah.
Kettleberger?
Yes.
Gretchen's like in charge of most of that, I think.
So I wanted to bring that up earlier because somebody wrote in the comments, oh, High Rocks and Grid or like something based off CrossFit or something like that. And I think they were jokingly like, what's next? And I'm glad you brought it up because that's another thing that's out there. And her goal is to get that into the Olympics, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big push. And I think that comes from, so I need to speak to her, actually. I've been told I have to speak to her because I've spoken to kind of those running it here. And so I can speak from the UK point of view, but I don't know in America. But for example, like CrossFit here isn't a sport. Like, it is a sport for us, but technically, like if we want to get technical, it isn't a sport in the sense that you can't apply for a grant, you can't apply for all those things, you can't, like, you could have it at school, and there are people like the Academy program, they've been on here, they're working to get into schools, for example. But you could have it in school as like an activity, but it would be an activity like a computer club or a chess club or something like that. Well, no, chess is actually a sport. It would be like, you know, it could just be an activity you can do. You wouldn't be able to like study it and do it for your physical education the way you could other sports, because it's technically not recognized like as a sport. And I don't think it can be, because it's a brand. And so that's like the sticking point. It's kind of like, so as long as it's a brand, it, you know, and so I do like the idea that there are sports that people could play and enjoy. And if you're like, oh, do you want to get better at this sport? The best way, go find your local CrossFit affiliate. They'll be the people that can train you up for that sport. And I mean, even with grid, like, even if that's not, you're not a utility player, it's probably like which gyms are going to be equipped with rigs and rings and stuff like that. If you're a bodyweight specialist, it's probably going to be maybe you've got like a gymnastics gym near you. Well done. If not, at least if you go to an affiliate, there's going to be a bar for you to swing on, some rings for you to play with. If you're a strength specialist, it's going to be the gym where they don't mind that you're loading up a barbell and dropping it, and it's sort of. So I don't see that these other sports existing is a bad thing for CrossFit. If anything, I think it's a good thing for CrossFit, the methodology, for local affiliates.
I completely agree. And it's funny because people thought grid was going to be like trying to challenge CrossFit. And it's like, not at all. We're two separate entities and two separate goals. You're looking for the fittest on earth, and we're just trying to give avenues for other athletes and create something similar but different.
Yeah. And I mean, I was also go with for me, first and foremost, CrossFit is my affiliate. Like, that is, and if the games disappeared, yes, I would, I'd miss it to a degree, but as long as I can go each week and train at my box, that's all that really matters. And when I go there, the people that are there, the majority don't know what the games is. Like, they don't know anything about the games. So, and I really thought about that after the games this year, because obviously my phone's blowing up. People are asking me my opinions on what's happened, at the games. But when I went to work out and I went to a class, I was having to first explain to people that the games had happened and then tell them what had happened. And they just don't know. They just did like, so when people are like, oh, this is driving people away from affiliates. Nobody, this is so bad for CrossFit now. I'm like, actually, in the affiliate, at least, and this like is a pretty big affiliate in the UK where I go to compared to others. I'm like, the majority oblivious to what's going on in America, in HQ. Like, they don't know. Like, CrossFit is the friends that they see at 9:30 a.m. when they do their class, or 8 p.m. when they do their class. Like, that's it. So I think we can all coexist.
Absolutely.
Can't all do rings to handstands, but we can all coexist.
We all train. I mean, like, we all train at affiliates, and the members, they're like, oh, what's, they'll ask if, we're there, but most of the time, we practice after classes, and, the people that are consistent in the classes that know, because a lot of our grid athletes are also coaches. So that's the only way that they kind of get involved. But if they're like, if it's the gym down the street and they don't have any grid people in there, they don't know what grid is. Right. Just like they wouldn't know what the games are if they don't have any like competitors, that are around them all the time. But yeah, that's how it is here too. Like, we have the gym I go to is huge, and I would say maybe 15% know about the games or care. Yeah. But yeah, like, that's their time to like enjoy their friends and get fit and just be like a better human.
Yeah. And it's nice though, because like, grid's there for those that want it, those that enjoy. Jerry's smarter than half the people. There you go. Augustus has been like asking some tricky questions all thing, but here's a nice compliment for you, Jamie. Jamie already sounds smarter than half the people in CrossFit right now.
I mean, I don't think it should matter if they care about the games or not. I've loved CrossFit since the day I started, and being a coach, like, I'm not what I would call a whiteboard coach where I just read what's on the board and say, let's go do this. I'm very, very focused on quality of movement and all of that. So if you're new, you're not going to be doing snatches or cleans that day. Like, we're going to go to an easier movement, maybe just deadlifts, and keep it light, because I don't want you to get hurt. The whole point is for you to become in better shape, not to get injured. And whether you know about what the games are or not doesn't matter. Like you're saying, it's all the methodology and just applying it appropriately so people come with or get what they came here for. And it's not to be a competitor. Not everybody's looking to compete. And that's just something that drives me a little crazy with some gyms programming. It's like you're giving way too much in 1 hour class, man. This is for general physical preparedness. Not everybody's trying to be games athlete here, or even regional.
Yeah, I mean, I also think I'm a little bit spoiled because so I've been to other boxes just kind of as a drop in here and there, but not a lot. But I started doing CrossFit at CrossFit Bath. That's where I live, like 5 minutes walk from CrossFit Bath now, which is very convenient. So like my first intro to CrossFit was done by Ollie Mansbridge, who is the European manager for CrossFit now. So like, very in on it. The affiliate's like a 13-year affiliate. I think we've got at least 4 of our coaches, maybe 5 are CrossFit level 3s. So it's like, it's a really kind of
That's
all
awesome.
in.
I love when people are in it that much and they want to go get the 3 and maybe get the 4 and for the coach. Like,
there is a race on between, like, for who is going to be the first to get the
I love it,
the level 4. So that is
hard.
Yeah,
that's even that level 3 is hard. I've looked at some of the stuff. I'm like,
yeah, I want to do the level 3. I haven't done it yet, but
like my
it's funny because when I got my level 1, there wasn't even level 2. Like, they had a second, I don't remember what they called it before, but then they stopped it for a brief period of time, and then they came out with the level 2 because they wanted you to work a certain amount of hours as a coach before you could go get the level 2. Because some people were going for their level 1 and then a month or 2 later going for their level 2, and it's like, you don't know shit yet. Like, go get your feet wet and coach and apply what you just learned and learn how to get that coach's eye and help people with their skills, and then come get your level 2. And I was a big fan of the level 2 when I took it. They go over a lot. So awesome. So awesome.
Although I did have fun
training with everything.
in the gymnastics one with, it was Tucker, Jeff Tucker, I think was the instructor. He just, like, the way he explained things was just really funny. He talks about, like, grip. He's like, put your thumb around the bar. He's like, life, death, death, life. He's like, it's your choice. It was just really funny. But I love that people are ambitious to go get more certifications, be a better, more well-rounded coach. I mean, for me, I'm a physio, so I have that background, as well as my level 2, and it just putting all of it together and seeing people move better and getting coaches that understand that certain movements aren't ideal, right? They're not necessarily, no one's going to move perfectly, but if you get those coaches who are excited to recognize, like, hey, this person needs to do this better, this person needs to do this better, they can help those people stay in CrossFit longer. At the end of the day, they're there because they want to be fit and they want to enjoy their life, and it's the best hour of their day. And if they can't do that, that's a problem, right? That's really where I come in. That's like my real job. That's what I do. Like, I help all those people get back into the gym. But like, I love seeing these coaches really just push the gas and trying to gain some good knowledge too. CrossFit does a really good job I will give them that, at putting out good information and good knowledge. And now they're opening up for, like, CrossFit. I haven't applied for it yet, but the medical portion, and they have the whole society there, which I think is awesome, because as healthcare provider, we want people to stay fit and stay active, or we don't want to be anybody's limited provider that cares. Yeah, I do care. But we shouldn't be anyone's limiting factor as providers. That's not our job. Our job is to help you do whatever it is that you want to do. And all the people that come into my office are like, oh, my doctor told me this and my doctor told me this. And it's just like, that's not their job. I mean, unless it's going to kill you, right? But for the most part, they limit their patients and they change their beliefs and they make them afraid and fearful. And so having, a whole group of medical providers who also understands that movement is medicine. Like, if we don't get these people moving, it's a big problem. We're already in trouble in this country with a lack of movement and a lack of health.
It is always amazing, though, when you
direction,
like, if you find like a doctor that gets it. It's so, I had to go. So I'd had like these 2 chest infections at the same time. I had like 2 months out that I just couldn't train, couldn't do anything, couldn't work. Like, I was really struggling. Kind of got back from that, and it took ages. And I was like, I was back, but I wasn't. I just didn't feel right. And I went in. And I was talking to this doctor, and it was like a new doctor. I'd never had him before, but the best doctor I've ever had, really. And I was sort of saying, oh, it's hard to explain because, like, if you came to the gym with me and you saw what I was doing, you would be like, what are you talking about that you don't feel good? Because that's a lot more than most people are doing. And it's kind of like, yeah, but I know that, like, I'm fatiguing quicker after doing a couple of reps, or I'm, you know, like I'm pushing, but I can't push the same way I used to, something. And he was like, well, yeah, everybody's different. I was like, oh, whoa, thank you so much.
You actually care about your job and people. Wow.
Yeah. Jason, you didn't tell me you're going live. I'm pretty sure I put out an Instagram post saying I was going live. So, yeah, Augustus is going to lose his wrench for highlighting an inability I have to say a number, but we'll.
What's a wrench mean?
It means I can put people in the comments in timeout when they get too rowdy.
Oh.
But yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, that's been a very positive conclusion to it all. Eric, who's your biggest rival before we go?
My biggest rival?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was Paula before she came on our team.
So that's what you do. You just bring over your rivals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah. Stack them up.
Yeah, I don't know right now. I don't really think about that. I just focus on what we're doing, and that's it, really. And then we'll go watch film and think, all right, what's their plan? What's our plan going to be to try to be that faster? Because at the end of the day, what they're doing doesn't really matter. It's how consistent and clean we can be.
He's got such a positive outlook, hasn't he? How do you put up with it, Jamie? That's
because I'm the same way, and I won't tolerate if any of my athletes are not on that page. If you're gonna be drama and whining and complaining, like, get off my team. You don't play for me.
I've got to find out about there was some drama this weekend from other teams.
And yes, there was.
And again, it's a thing people are like, oh, CrossFit's boring. Like, you know, we need some personalities, we need some rivalries, we need some. So I am interested to see what has been going on in the
grid. I'm interested too.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I would say across all the teams, like, most of us are we all know each other. Like, it's a friendly thing, but sometimes things get a little not so friendly.
Yeah.
We've made some rules for that, actually, due to some, like, almost physicality and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're all pretty cool with each other. And, like, of course we want to win. Everyone wants to win. Like, none of us are playing this sport to lose.
No.
It is funny to watch you, like, when it's go time, it's crazy. Everyone is, and then it's very much still in that kind of CrossFit ecosystem of when it's over, you're all sort of, we all suffered together and that was hard. And you do seem kind of, and as you say, you all train in, like, local affiliates and that, so you're going to be interacting with each other the rest of the week or the month anyway, because you just happen to.
I have in my office, my massage, the girl who works with me, my massage therapist, plays for another team. So we have fun, like, just inter-office.
She used to play with us, though.
She used to play for us. And then she'll tell you that I kicked her off the team, but I did not.
Who is this?
Her name's Amber.
Okay. Which team does she play for
now? She plays for the Palms.
The Palms now. Okay.
So she switched.
Yeah. Well, because you had another player who left and assured me that you were all still friends. So I was like, okay. As if you're all still friends, that's good.
Who left that we're not friends with?
No, they said you are friends.
But who are we talking about?
It's not Bright. It's Bree. I want to say it's Brielle.
Oh, Brielle. Yeah.
Brielle.
She went to the Palms too.
Yeah. Are you all still friends?
Of course.
Yeah.
Good. Because she's coming on the show as well. So I mean,
I've coached at her gym. I haven't been coaching as much recently, but yeah, I coached there for a bit. And actually, Briley is a coach at that gym as well. Briley, who plays for the Palms.
Yeah, because I always see the little video of you guys doing the kind of
the little grid match inside the gym.
Yeah.
What's kind of crazy is that between the Lions, the Palms, and even a little bit of the Venom, like, we're all within the Tri-County, like, even Palm Beach, like, all of us know each other because all of those athletes, like, we all came from the same sort of area.
And we compete at local comps and stuff together occasionally.
So we're not really, I mean, we're kind of removed from Orlando, Tampa, Southwest Florida, and obviously now Atlanta. But the rest of the team, the quote unquote used to be South Conference, we're literally all from Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Like we all live very close.
So really, they should all be Lions. But anyway, well, that's
I mean, yeah,
that's another matter. Oh, it's fun, interesting. Because also all of that like means nothing to me when I see the different teams, and I'm like, unless I pull out a map, I'm like, it's all over there. It's it's somewhere distant. That's fine. But it's good. I'm glad you're all still friends. That's nice. Although clearly not everyone is still friends. And there was an interesting post by the Venoms that they're looking for some players because they've removed some people because they clearly did something, but I don't know what. But you probably know. I don't know, but maybe we'll find out. But yeah, I thought that was quite commendable that they're kind of making sure that people on the team are following the kind of they're the kind of people you want on the team, I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah. Augustus, why did you do this to me? Do you care to discuss the PFA's recent decision calling for Dave's job? I'll probably do a video on that. Augustus,
I will say something about in terms of safety, at least for grid side. I'm not going to speak for CrossFit. Even though I've been to the games, I've seen, so has Eric, like we've seen some things. I was there the very first year we went swimming in the Pacific Ocean. It was terrifying. Nico Salo had his eardrum blown out. Like it was.
That's true. Yeah.
Quite scary. I have a humongous fear of the ocean from that, but that's a whole other topic. But as grid owners, we do talk a lot about safety because when we throw in these new skills like ring to handstand, we're like, should we put a crash pad? Do the athletes want a crash pad? We will. What's cool about this right now is we ask, we get to talk to the players. Do you want this for an aerial? Like that guy dislocated his finger. Like I don't think it would have mattered if he had a mat or not, but like they ask, and we are very proactive with safety and making sure they feel like, do you want this? Do you not want this? What's good, what's not good.
Eric, why don't you want a crash mat for the rings?
I don't like the landing.
When you drop down after.
Yeah.
And then you've got to try and
I feel like I have a higher
well.
chance of hurting my ankle because I'm dropping from straight up. Like I don't lower myself. Normally I'm just dropping. I know how I'm going to land and go. So I didn't want to take that risk of landing wrong because I'm not worried. I'm more worried about my ankle coming down off the rings than I am slipping off the rings and landing on my head.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But I wish it was more of an option because that wasn't an option, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I'd rather you have that because if you fell on your head, that'd be a lot bigger of an issue than rolling your ankle.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know because your head wouldn't work anymore. So
what happened? Where am I?
Did we win?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. See, Augustus, you know all about grid, lad.
I love it.
Clearly an expert now. CrossFit, sorry, this started about an hour ago. In fact, an hour and 8 minutes ago. So we are wrapping up now because it's bedtime for me. It's Eric said he has to go to the gym at some point. So that's
I'm in no rush or anything right now.
Jimmy, don't listen. He said he's really eager to practice all the movements. And
I saw him yesterday. He's fine.
Oh, I'm going in after. I'm in no rush to get there right now.
He said specifically he was going to practice doing pistol thrusters without putting his arm up. That was
no. He needs to practice ring forward rolls. That's the next one.
That's what lit my lats up yesterday. Jesus, I was not ready for that. They were hurting, but I feel better now. I want to do some of those and some pullovers.
Yeah. See, these are look, it's working, guys. Now, as I said, these grid leaguers, Jason. Well, get ready because there is going to be a whole lot of these coming on. So I'm going to convert slowly. Everyone, bring them over. To the
I like it. Hey, more eyes. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. We got burpee pullovers
like
too.
A 6-year-old in gymnastics. It's exactly what you're thinking.
They're coming up in the next. You're gonna see some crazy stuff the next matches.
Actually, there was I have to thank Eric sent me a video ages ago. I don't even know if he remembers sending it to me, but I I wanted to do a video about some movements that existed in grid that we might see show up at the CrossFit Games. It's like a year or two ago, and one of them was it was on the, what is it, like the reverse on the rings, the kind of the backward roll, is it, or whatever it was you were doing, or whichever one it was, I can't remember now. But I had a great video of Jason Hopper trying one and falling off.
I remember.
So I was just like, oh, and I was like looking for the different ones, and they were all kind of from strange angles or things like this. And I was just like, I just sent Eric a message like, can you just film one of these for me so I can have a did it, send it over. Brilliant. It was in the video. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, 90% of
you tore your labrum too? Yeah, torn labrums are not fun, but I did mine on a pommel horse, not a pullover. Oh, 9%.
The next matches will be October 11th and 12th, I believe. It'll be a Friday, Saturday, and it's at Mr. Olympia in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so it's a big one.
Come out and support if you want, or you can just tune in live. We usually have live streams.
Yeah, I'm always on the live streams. I'm in the chat. You'll find me there. I'm always
definitely rehab for your labrum. Depends how bad it is. Depends where it is.
Yeah.
No,
how bad?
I wouldn't even go there.
No,
find it. There's actually not a lot of evidence to support it right now. It depends on where. It depends where the labral tear is. Your labrum is circumferential, so it depends if it's a slab tear, if it's a posterior tear. We're gonna go down a big rabbit hole for videos, but
I love rabbit holes.
It depends. It always depends. It depends on your pain. Depends on your range of motion. Depends on your limitations. Go find a really good physio who's gonna treat you like an athlete and not tell you to stop CrossFit.
Yeah, so just Google box stop and
yeah, you come see me if you live in South Florida. Cairo thinks it isn't slap, but it's something. Okay. Well, you won't know unless you get an MRI, but you wouldn't want to go try some rehab first before you get an MRI. Don't waste it. I mean, if it can get better, and if you do some rehab in 30 days, you're not feeling any better, then go get an MRI. But try some rehab first, always. Conservative care, the second someone cuts you up, it's different, right? So if you don't have to, don't. But if you have to, and you feel like you're dislocating or something like that, then go.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. There we go. Well, she knows what she's talking about. If you'd listened, Grant, to the amazing intros, you'd have known that
she's helped a lot with my shoulder and all of my injuries.
Yeah.
I help a lot of the players too on other teams, not just my own.
Yeah.
You help them. Do you give them the same level of care, or you're just like,
I do.
You like
20% less.
Yeah. Oh, 20%. I was giving 10% less. You went 20% less. I think she's kinder than that. Oh, wonderful. Well, if you are interested in knowing more about grid, well, as you said, you've got the big matches coming up.
Yep.
In the lead up to that, I'm going to have lots of other people on, as I've said. What have I got going on? So either Thursday or Sunday, to be confirmed, there'll be a more CrossFit focused show. Got a teen athlete going to the games and someone from semifinals on, probably. So that live will be Thursday or Sunday. Monday, we're going to have, as I've mentioned, some from the Sharks on. So it should be Jesse, whose surname escapes me at the moment, and maybe Chelsea, but I'm not 100% sure. So I need to confirm that. On Wednesday, Grid League commissioner himself. Is it
Mather?
Mather.
Yep.
I've never heard this name before.
Mather. Love that guy.
Wiswall. Yeah. He'll be on. So, if you've got any deep-hearted questions about Grid, maybe he's
give him shit for not picking me up because he wanted to pick me up in the draft and he missed it.
Oh, okay.
Are
and
Eric
when was
and
this?
Jamie married? Absolutely not. I actually have a fiance already, so who's a she? So definitely not with Eric.
Do we want to dive into your love life, Eric, or are you happy to leave that as one untouched thing on this show?
There is none.
There is none.
Oh, There we go. So yeah. No, yeah. Okay. Very good. I know. Well, you've got 25. I love that Kipping's putting a countdown for when another show goes live. Don't worry. You're gonna have to find something else to occupy yourself for 25 minutes because
he's single. Yeah, he is. Heidi.
He is single. Heidi.
Get it.
Heidi is dating an Eric. Okay. All the people in the chat know each other.
That's funny.
I love that.
Okay, and soon they'll all know all of you as well. So this will be good. We're building these communities. Jason, shout out to the other shows. Which shows do I need to shout out to then? So Seth from Jump Ship is going live in 25 minutes. Is that correct? And Keeping It Real, Grant is going live when? Grant, what if you're still watching? What time are you going? What time is your show going? I don't know. Look it up. And I was going to say for mine, all my other ones, just follow my Instagram. That's where I'll announce everything. Why Central? What? 7 Central. Okay.
How tall is Glasses? Glasses is not tall. 5'6".
But an incredible gymnast. So, you know.
I try.
And he's gotten strong over the last 10 years as well.
I do my best.
He has.
Trying to get there. These fucking weightlifters are strong, man. I think the 73 kilo clean and jerk at the Olympics was like 430 something. Gosh.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Is Eric heavier than? Yes, I am. 175. But at the games when I competed, I was 155.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you see, anything is possible.
That's right.
That's what we've had.
Time.
All right, let's wrap it up so you guys have time to do something before you all go and watch Seth. I'm not going to because it is like 20 past 10 now, so I will be off to bed soon, hopefully. Thank you very much, Jamie, for coming on. Really appreciate that. All the best trying to wrangle the cats that are the lions, and hopefully it will go well for your next match.
That's what I am, a glorified cat wrangler.
And they're big cats, they're lions, so
they are.
It's perfect. Eric, all the best with the love life. No, all the best with with the getting stronger, getting heavier apparently, and the crazy gymnastics you're doing. And also, you know, as we mentioned in the intro, you're also a paramedic firefighter, so you know, you're busy with other very important things as well. So enjoy. I think you've got a couple of days off. You said you're back on like Friday, so
yes. Oh, so nice to just be able to have a nice sleep schedule and not have to wake up at any time.
No. I have to be like, oh, look, I'd love to pull you from this burning building, but man, my lats, I just did so many. I don't know if I can do it.
It's a luxury I don't get.
Oh, Heidi,
that's
a good selling point. So, all right, thank you everyone in the chat. We've appreciated your assistance. Thank you, Augustus, for all of the questions that really set us up for some very good grid-based answers as well. Go and watch the other shows that are on YouTube now if you're looking for something to do. And as I said, I'll be back on either Thursday or Sunday, but just follow the Instagram and everything will be there. Thank you again, Jamie, Eric. And with that, I think we can say we're done.